Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Nightwing, issue number 53. A lot of people talking about they don't like the Nightwing series right now. Like, I don't like this. Who's this Rick Grayson guy? Is it, like, even the comic book, it started off, my name is Rick Grayson. You a liar. You a lie. I know who you are. You don't know who you are. I know who you are. Shut your mouth. Start off a whole comic book with a lie. What's up with that? Anyway, all that, 100% valid. But this issue did exactly what I was hoping it was going to do. Completely turned it around. This has the potential to be a great storyline. Oh, it takes a couple of pages to get there, but it gets there. Let's talk about who actually made this book. Night Terrors, Part 4. This issue is called Badge of Honor. Scott Lobdell does the plot. Fabian Nicezia, you know what? I would try harder to do his name right, but like he attacked me online for like how freaking childish do you have to be? How borderline narcissistic do you have to be? Literally voted the most difficult name in comic book writers to pronounce. Talking about my name's not that hard. Calm down, Junior. Anyway, no love for him. No love. But Travis Moore and Patch Zurcher on art. Tamara Bonvillain on colors. Whoa, what's going on? She's doing Moon Girl. She's doing Nightwing. What's up with that? All these night type names. And what, does she do Moon Knight also? Does she do Moon Knight? I actually knew the person who did Moon Knight. World Design does the letters. Chris Mooneyham and Nick Filardi did the cover. Yasmin Putri did the variant cover. Okay. And of course, Marv Wolfman and George Perez created the character, the personage of Nightwing. So again, this starts off a little bit slow. There's a lot of talk in here. There's that slow, instead of just having the one page say, oh, this and this and this happens and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, they instead, he starts thinking, and this happened, and this happened. Can you imagine if someone actually thought like that? If every time you turned a corner, you sat there and said, so I woke up this morning and I made pancakes. I decided to add some hot chocolate to it just because, and I wanted to see how it tasted, and it wasn't bad, and I enjoyed that it got that way. Either way, the kids enjoyed it. It was fun for them. Wife, not so much. She decided to make something on her own. A little bit disappointing. So then we got milk. Like, dude, I make breakfast, I freaking forget about it, I move on. So there's, even if you're not going to do the big page in the middle, just a little tiny text box, a narration box where you could just, such and such and such happened, and now he's here. Let's go. Just do it in the, what would that be? That would be the third person. You know what I'm saying? Just drop a third person, but reading in first person like this, nobody thinks like that. Nobody thinks like that. And now I'm going to try and remember to get into the difference between writing a comic book and writing a comic book at the end of this. Okay. What do you call it? So little annoying things like that happen. One other thing happens, the handcuffs thing. He gets handcuffed to a door, and with barely even looking, he just is able to get himself out of the handcuffs. I'm afraid that's not how amnesia works. It's not even remotely close to how amnesia works. What do you call it? Go and watch Regarding Henry to have a better idea of how amnesia actually works. Acclaimed, award-winning, amazing cry fest of a movie. Now all the good parts. Exactly as I was hoping it was going to do. This new Nightwing team, we don't get to see the team, we just get to see the chief deputy detective, whatever the heck the guy's name is. Oh, he's kind of silly. He doesn't recognize that this Rick Grayson guy is Nightwing. Is the actual Nightwing. So it just doesn't seem that difficult to be able to figure it out, that this is actually Nightwing. All the things that he says to him, the things that he's doing, all of it, it's freaking Nightwing. And you're a detective, crappiest detective ever, all right? But he makes a pretty darn good superhero because he goes and he dons this outfit. He goes in alone because his buds don't actually, they're cool with playing dress up, but they don't actually want to break the law and become vigilantes. That's realism right there. Then he goes in to actually get into this fight, and he gets jacked up. Bad realism. He's not ninja flipping all around because, let's face it, if you go in to become a cop, you're probably not a former, clown school graduate. So, realism. He throws one of the little Nightwing darts. He just, throws it. And hits the guy right in the rib, like that. And Nightwing actual, Rick Grayson, Dickless Rick, I guess we call him. He's like, oh my God, perfect shot, great shot. He's like, I was actually aiming for his hand. Realism. This kind of comic book, and then of course he's jacked up, and what does he say to his buddy? He goes to his buddy, oh my God, I can't believe you actually did it. Oh, you're jacked up, I gotta get you to the doctor. No, no doctors. Realism. And then, dude, you can't keep on doing this. Well, I wouldn't have been this hurt if you and the other guys would have come with me. Realism. Nightwing, Batman, and I've been saying this in the Batman issues for a while now. I love what Tom King is doing, despite certain hiccups that he has here and there. He's getting used to writing comic books, man. And even then, he's got more experience than most of us, you know? But he does have some hiccups for those of us who read a lot of comic books. It happens, but I love the idea that he's making Batman more human. I love that, and that's what I think we need. We got too far into the whole Batman can go into space and float around and hang and beat up Superman and things like that, and contingency plans to take everybody down. And it's fun. It really is. But come on, man. You know? Nightwing should be even more so of a human character. He's the guy who hasn't lost his mind. He's the guy who Batman pretty much sacrificed his, not even sacrificed his own sanity, but rather than working on his own sanity, he made sure that Dick didn't become insane like Batman is. Yes, Batman does have, he's not insane, but he does have many mental issues, like a plethora. But Dick doesn't have those problems because he was able to face his demons. He was able to face down the person who shot him. He was able to do all these things and get a measure of revenge and feel as though he's in control. Batman, Bruce Wayne, never in control. He's always seeing his parents shot in front of him. He never had that control. Nightwing wasn't the same, and he's got a good, solid head on his shoulders, and he makes for an amazing superhero without superpowers. And I don't need to see him being, I need to see him being an everyman, not a big old Mary Sue. And unfortunately, even in here, Nightwing is kind of Mary Sue-ish. And I'm not a huge fan of that. But this other Nightwing team, I think is going to be great. If we keep on seeing them, not bumbling around, but, you know, doing the things they do. Even the things that this, I don't remember the guy's name, and I think I'm going to have to remember his name because the cop in question, because he's really good at this, the main Nightwing imposter guy. He's saying things like, you know, you have the right to keep most of your teeth and things like that. Yeah, that sounds like something that a human being would do. The things that you always wanted to say. And now you got a mask on. Now you get to say it. The psychology of being able to put on a mask and not be who you were, not be bound by the rules you were bound by. And a good cop, unfortunately, there's not enough good cops in the world. One bad cop is one bad cop too many, way too many. But a good cop understands the rules that he has to follow. Yes, it puts him at something of a disadvantage, but he also has a team behind him, which gives him a serious advantage. But he's able to understand the rules he has to play by. So a really good cop in an area where there may be too much corruption, including within the police department, the ability to put on a mask and to double dip in your job in two different pools, so to speak. That's something that I can imagine a cop really liking to do. A good cop really enjoying to do. Even a bad cop, you know what I'm saying? It's just in the other way, but the psychology in this is great. It's fantastic. All right. I don't know who to give credit to more, Scott Lobdell or Fabian N. But either way, you know, that almost sounds bad. It's like I'm saying the N-word. Whatever. I tell you what, man, you attack somebody online and you're somebody who's supposed to be respectable, Deadpool creator, look what happens. Never meet your heroes. Never listen to your heroes talk to you online and be a jerk. You screwed up if you're watching this. You screwed up by being stupid. Just take that with your borderline narcissistic behavior. Man, just dumb. But I am a human being who has the capability of separating the individual's personable actions as opposed to his created works and so on and so forth. And this is a really good story. I got to give it to him. I got to give it to, and we know Scott Lobdell is freaking awesome. This is a really great, the plot is beyond reproach. And the execution of the story, while it has been slow, it was a slow burn. And it's right now, we got a good, nice fire, a nice cold winter night. So it's good to warm up to this, man. This is a really good story. I'm digging where this is going. I like the idea that Dick Grayson Dickless Rick, is that's just too funny. It's better than Pickle Rick. He's still in the story. Our Nightwing is still in the story, but he's on the sidelines. He's doing his own thing. He's kind of got his own mask on, but not by choice. Not by choice. He's trying to make do with the best he can. This is great that we can now have two stories that are separate yet weave so seamlessly together. I love that idea. If we keep going with this story, this could go several arcs. This could be the entire run. I definitely enjoying this. I know there's still going to be some people who don't like it because it's something new, but you know what? You got to change up the comic books once in a while. And honestly, if you are reading this right now, you are on the ground floor of something very different. And I think that in the future, this will be a much more beloved storyline. All right, just like looking back on, like I said before, Dick Grayson, Agent of Spiral. You know, I think that this will be along those lines. Excuse me, really good stuff that we can always reference back to. Yeah, but remember when he was an Agent of Spiral? Remember when he took over the role of Batman when Batman died? Do you remember when? Do you remember when? This is going to be one of those remember whens in a good way. This isn't like Frankencastle. This isn't like Angel, Punisher. All right. This is a different version of Dick Grayson and Nightwing, separate entities at this point. This is good. Solid issue. It does, one of the things I did want to mention, though, is there does have to be a separation between what is acceptable for a comic book and what is not acceptable for a comic book as far as our belief goes. Case in point, the handcuffs thing here. That's not the way that amnesia actually works, right? Someone may turn around and say, dude, it's a comic book, let it go. Okay, let's take it a step further. Superman flies. Right there, nobody has a problem with that. The problem is when you, not even the problem, the beginning of a problem is when you ask, how does Superman fly? The answer is, he flies because he flies. That's the best possible answer for it. When you start to try and explain it, when writers try to explain it, then we're able to start picking apart the details. All right? When someone performs prestidigitation, stage magic, okay? My father was always very good with stage magic. It's one of the reasons why I can pronounce prestidigitation. Can't pronounce Fabian Narcissus's name because I don't even want to now. I'm not leaving that. Not leaving that. Screwed up. Own it. What do you call it? The whole show was the show. The show was the show itself. How did you do that? You always get the question, how'd you do that? And the answer is, it's magic. And the answer stops there. The question ends. It ends everything. You could be a jerk and say, okay, but seriously, how'd you do it? That's when now you have actually started to cross the threshold of being a jerk at this point. You were given an answer. You're supposed to understand what that answer is, all right? It's none of your business. But if you start to try and explain something, then it becomes a science. Now, what if someone doesn't understand the science? All of a sudden, they turn into a flat earther. All of a sudden, they turn into a climate change denier. All of a sudden, they become someone who says, I don't think we really made it to the moon. You start to be almost like a conspiracy theorist because you don't have the capability of understanding what happened. Or maybe your explanation, the other person's explanation, is really just that weak. Either way, you don't explain things, you just do them. So some things in the comic books are acceptable. But there's certain things that, when you do things that we do have an explanation for. Case in point, we have an explanation for why, how, just had the word, it's kind of like in one of my studies, memory loss, whatever, amnesia, thank you. One of the ways that amnesia works is you forget things. You still remember how to speak. You still remember, and it's always funny when somebody who doesn't understand how it works tries to tell me how it works. That's cute. You also want to tell me about electrical engineering? What do you call it? The way we already know the way it works. It's established the way it works. For crying out loud, you can look on a Wikipedia page and get a good explanation. That's real talk. You can go and look right now. Pause the video. How amnesia actually works. When you start to try and mess with amnesia and don't give a reason for it, not an explanation, but a reason for it, suddenly you're able to pick that apart. That's something you can pick apart. I'm going to liken it to this. So somebody says, why can't you just let it be? Why can't you just let it be? The reason why I can't let it be is, what if Nightwing all of a sudden fired energy bolts from his hands? No gloves, no technology, just he suddenly developed the that's Marvel, the metahuman ability to fire energy blasts, concussive beams from his hands. People would attack it and say, that's not what Nightwing does. To the intelligent, I don't have to give a further explanation to propagate my point. This is not the way that amnesia works. Don't play off of amnesia and give it a the example that was given to me not too long ago is the Jason Bourne ideal. Don't make it a Jason Bourne thing. Jason Bourne is fun because the choreography was really great. The fight scenes, through the choreography, great. It just felt, and it was a good spy thriller, and all, and it was really good. Plus the writing initially in the book, I only read the first book. I did not read the next two books, like Whatever Happened to Carlo, I think the guy's name was. Anyway, fantastic books. So it translated very well into movie form. But if the movie were not as good, then you would very easily, very quickly, very necessarily ask, well, that's not the way amnesia works, so how did it work that way for him? And even then, if that's the only thing the guy knew, then boom. But Dick Grayson in the comic books, whatever, to me, this just doesn't feel right. The way that his amnesia is being played, it just doesn't feel right. It's a minor gripe, but a gripe that I am talking about. That being said, I do believe this is a really good comic book. I do believe that you guys should jump on this. You're on the ground floor while this is coming out. You can get it at cover price. I do believe there's going to be a point where these comic books are going to go up in value because this is one of those seminal moments in Nightwing's life. And there are a couple of them, right? And you know how expensive those are. Anyway, guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.